people living in darkness have seen a great light. Light came down. For to us a child is born. Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Question number 1. Where was Jesus born?
The answer is Bethlehem. According to the Gospels of Matthew and Luke, Jesus was born in Bethlehem, where his family had traveled to register for the census of Roman provinces. Bethlehem is a Palestinian town south of Jerusalem in the West Bank. The biblical birthplace of Jesus, it's a major Christian pilgrimage destination. The birth is marked by an inlaid silver star in a grotto under the 6th century Church of the Nativity, which shares Manger Square with the 15th century Church of St. Catherine and the 1860 Mosque of Omar.
Question number 2. What does the name Jesus mean?
The answer is the Lord saves. The English word Jesus is derived from the Hebrew name Yeshua, which means the Lord saves.
Question number 3. Who is the Jesus' parents in the Bible?
The answer is Joseph and Mary. Both the Gospel of Matthew and the Gospel of Luke note that Jesus' parents were Mary and Joseph. Both also narrate that Mary was engaged but not married to Joseph when she got pregnant. But the accounts of how they discover this startling news differ slightly. In Matthew's Gospel, Joseph is so troubled when he finds out that his fiancée is pregnant that he wants to divorce her. Because he's such a good guy, he wants to break it off quietly rather than humiliate her in public. But before he can do that, Joseph receives a revelation in a dream that the pregnancy is God's work. The angel that delivers this revelation also says that this unusual birth fulfills Isaiah's prophecy that the virgin will be with child and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel, which means God with us. Luke's Gospel also portrays Mary as a virgin when she conceived Jesus. But this time, the angel comes to her and tells her of God's plan before the conception. Like Joseph, she's upset and wonders how in the world she could be pregnant. After all, she knows that she has never slept with a man. But the angel reassures her that God's behind it. Mary consents, saying, "May it be done to me according to your word."
Question number 4. How did the magi, wise men who visited baby Jesus, know where to find him?
The answer is following the sign of a special star in the sky. After Jesus was born, wise men came to look for him, probably from an area which is now in either Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, or an area in what's now southern Turkey, northern Syria. Although they are often called the Three Kings, the Bible does not say how many there were, or that they were kings. One theory is that they might have been kings of Yemen, as during this time the kings of Yemen were Jews. 3 is only a guess because they brought with them 3 gifts, but however many there were of them, they probably would have had many more servants with them. They had seen an unusual new star in the sky, and knew that it foretold the birth of a special king in Israel. The wise men magi were educated and notable men who studied the stars and apparently knew the prophecies well. It is thought to have been Daniel the prophet who first introduced the magi to the holy scriptures of the God of Israel. And it's believed that throughout the centuries these wise men studied the Hebrew scriptures, and therefore understood the timing of the Messiah's birth and the sign that would lead them to the place where he would be born.
Question number 5. Which Gospels include an account of Jesus' infancy?
The answer is the Gospels of Matthew and Luke. The Gospels of Matthew and Luke each contain an infancy narrative. He did this by including the story of the Magi, who were non-Jewish men. And Matthew wanted to portray Jesus as the new Moses. In Matthew's Gospel, the Holy Family flees to Egypt and is called out after Herod's death, reflecting the Exodus.
Question number 6. Who was the king of Judea at the time of the birth of Jesus?
The answer is King Herod. One of the central figures in the Christmas story is Herod the Great, who was king of the Jews when Jesus was born. Herod and his sons ruled Judea during Jesus' life and ministry. King Herod, sometimes called Herod the Great, was a king of Judea who ruled the territory with Roman approval. While Judea was an independent kingdom, it was under heavy Roman influence, and Herod came to power with Roman support. The Bible depicts Herod as a monster who tried to kill baby Jesus and, when he couldn't find him, killed every infant in Bethlehem. Historians today generally believe the story is fictional. While Herod did execute one of his wives and 3 of his children, he was also a prolific builder who renovated and expanded the temple in Jerusalem, the most holy site in Judaism.
Question number 7. What was Jesus' primary language?
The answer is Aramaic. Historians say that Jesus likely would have known Hebrew and Greek, but probably spoke Aramaic with family and friends. Through trade, invasions, and conquest, the Aramaic language had spread far afield by the 7th century BC, and would become a lingua franca in much of the Middle East. In the 1st century AD, it would have been the most commonly used language among ordinary Jewish people, as opposed to the religious elite, and the most likely to have been used among Jesus and his disciples in their daily lives. Jesus likely understood Hebrew, though his everyday life would have been conducted in Aramaic.
Question number 8. What was Jesus' first miracle?
The answer is turning water into wine. According to the Gospel of John, the first time Jesus revealed his glory was by turning water into wine at a wedding feast in Cana.
Question number 9. How old was Jesus when he was baptized?
The answer is 30. According to the Gospel of Luke, Jesus was 30 when he was baptized, and soon thereafter began his public ministry. After Jesus' baptisms, the Holy Spirit descended upon them and anointed them with divine gifts for public ministry. Jesus began his public ministry at the age of 30 when he was baptized in water, and the Holy Spirit came upon him. Jesus had already lived a perfect and sinless life for 30 years through the power of the Holy Spirit, which had been within him since birth.
Question number 10. How many people did Jesus raise from the dead during his ministry?
The answer is 3. According to the Gospels, Jesus raised 3 people from the dead: the widow's son at Nain, Jairus' daughter, and Lazarus. The widow of Nain's son. This is the first person Jesus raised from the dead. As the Lord approached the town of Nain, he met a funeral procession leaving the city. Jesus came close and touched the coffin and spoke to the dead man, "Young man, I say to you, get up." Obeying the divine order, the dead man sat up and began to talk. The mourning was turned to awe and praise. Jairus' daughter. Jesus also showed his power over death by raising the young daughter of Jairus, a synagogue leader. Upon arriving at Jairus' house, Jesus took the girl's parents, Peter, James, and John, and entered the room where the body lay. There, he took her by the hand and said, "My child, get up." Her spirit returned, and at once she stood up. Jesus and his disciples then left the girl, alive and well, with her astonished parents. Lazarus of Bethany. The third person that Jesus raised from the dead was his friend Lazarus. Word had come to Jesus that Lazarus was ill, but Jesus did not go to Bethany to heal him. When Jesus reached Bethany, 4 days after Lazarus' death, Lazarus' grieving sisters both greeted Jesus with the same words. "Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died." When he got to the place, he commanded the stone to be rolled away from the tomb, and he prayed and called in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." Just as Jesus had promised, the dead man came out,